Principal, Vice Principal, Registrar of the Jawaharlal Nehru Medical College, Program Coordinators, faculty, and dear students. Should I hold in the hand? Should I hold? I think this will be convenient. A very warm good morning to all of you and a hearty welcome. Many of you are from different parts of the country. How many of you are from this area, Belagavi area? A handful only. So the rest of you are from all over the country. So a very warm welcome. This is a new place, new region, new climate, new atmosphere. I have been coming here for this program for some years now, and I always find it very enlivening to be with all the aspiring doctors as they embark on a very, very exciting and valuable career as medical professionals. So I'm very happy to be with all of you today also. And as you stand at the cusp of a very important stage of your life, where a new career is beginning for you, Dr. Somashekar has explained to me the whole orientation program and the different types of lectures and activities that you will all be exposed to, and it is really very important. So it is a very important initiative that has been taken. And on my share today, I will be speaking about medicine and spirituality, or you could also say medical education and spirituality. So now we may think that, well, medicine is a very scientific discipline, and spirituality doesn't seem to have anything scientific about it. So this is a rather incompatible combination. How can we have medicine and spirituality together? It doesn't seem like a good combination. But even though it may appear like that superficially, but let me tell you that there is a very deep connection between these two terms. Medicine on one hand and spirituality on the other. When I say medicine, we include medicine, surgery, everything. We talk about medicine as an entire field. So let me start by asking you one question. I'm sure you have thought about this. Why do you want to be a doctor? Now I will invite some of you to give me an answer. You can raise your hand. Feel free to speak. Any of you would like to answer this question? Why did you want to be a doctor? Yes.
It is because I wanted to help people directly by what knowledge I gained from this course.
Fine. What is your name?
My name is Chetan Naik. I'm from Ahmedabad.
Chetan Naik, please say. Chetan Naik from Ahmedabad. So Chetan says that he wants to help people with the knowledge that he can gain here in the medical college. Very nice. Yes?
Same purpose.
Same purpose. You also raised your hand? Yes.
Same purpose along with I wish to earn the respect a doctor carries around in society.
Okay, very nice. Thank you. Thank you for being honest. You're also honest. That's also important. So, yes. So, you want to help people in the society. Also, the medical profession carries a lot of respectability. So, when you go around in the society, you are offered respect. Any other answer? All of you are correct, of course. Any other answers? Anybody else? Yes.
You get to learn throughout your life from good professional people. So it's an never-ending process of learning. So you continuously grow as a person.
Okay. What's your name?
Sachi.
From?
Belagavi.
Okay. Sachi from Belgavi says it's a learning process where you enter into the field of medical science. It is a lifelong process of learning. You always learn. So yes, that's a very good answer. One final answer from anybody else. Yes.
We can earn money from many professions, but this is the only profession through which we can receive abundance of blessings from people.
Very interesting. Very nice. What is your name?
Shivani.
I'm from
Delhi.
Delhi. Thank you. Please sit. So you have given very nice answers, including the fact that yes, you can earn money from many livelihoods or professions, but this is one where you also get blessings of people. It's a very interesting point of view. You raise your hand too? Yes.
Sir, I wanted to become a doctor to treat the patients and just tell them that whether they have any problem in life, the main solution is to keep smiling and being stay positive.
Okay. What is your name? Are from? Kanpur. Thank you. Please sit. So through the profession, you can tell people to always remain smiling and positive. Okay, very nice. So let us come down to, this looks like a very sattvic class. Sattvic meaning very, shall we say, culture, very sober, yes. But generally, let me tell you the different kinds of reasons that people may have for choosing a medical profession. Different people have different reasons, of course. Is it prestige? A lot of prestige associated with the medical profession. In fact, in many places, the patients consider a doctor as God, especially when they're in trouble and the doctor has cured the patient, then they actually get treated like God. Is there glamour associated with this? Yes, you move around in that coat with a stethoscope around your neck, and everybody looks at you as, yes, you're doctor going by. There's glamour associated with that. On your name board, you have so-and-so degrees, long alphabets, list of alphabets. Very important point. I was waiting for this honest answer from somebody that I have chosen the field of medicine because one can earn a lot of money. Isn't it a fact? Yes. Now the answers are coming out. Not that the answers that all of you gave are wrong, or not that you didn't speak the truth. You also spoke from your heart. But it is also a fact that many people today take to the profession of medical life because it gives a lot of money. And you may have heard by now that there are medical professionals, consultants who can earn lakhs and lakhs of rupees in a month. Yes, a heart surgeon can get lakhs of rupees just for one surgery. So there's big money available. That's the kind of aura that is there around this. Job satisfaction, maybe somebody feels that this is the kind of life I want to lead. I feel intellectually stimulated, or that I get satisfaction from curing people and relieving them of misery. So it gives me a lot of satisfaction. That could be another reason. So there could be another final reason, which some of you have already mentioned, which is to serve and care. Seva. In India, we have this very important term called seva, which means essentially to serve, to have that serving propensity, that spirit, which is so very important. And there could be other reasons also. Maybe in some cases it is, the parental pressure. Sometimes it is the peer pressure. All your friends are going for it and they say, oh, you're not sitting for NEET exams. Okay, let me also sit. And the pressure of the society around us. So there could be so many reasons. But one thing that comes up is that essentially today's medical profession has focused on the subject of curing. That is not to say that curing should not be an objective of the medical profession, or that curing is not important. Certainly, it is very, very important. When a patient comes to you with a sickness, he or she wants to be cured. However, there are two aspects to healthcare. One is therapeutic, where you cure the patient. And the second aspect of healthcare is preventive healthcare. When you educate the society in certain lifestyles, in habits, and so on, where the likelihood of getting disease is less. Ultimately, everybody falls sick sometime or the other. But a bad lifestyle, bad habits, or ignorance of good things for a healthy life may cause sickness. So, preventive healthcare is indeed very, very important. And recently, we have been through a very difficult period with the COVID pandemic. And many times people ask me, as a spiritualist, what lessons do you think we as a human race should learn from this COVID pandemic? Now, there are many spiritual lessons to learn, which I will not touch upon today, but I will touch upon a medical lesson. The one lesson that I learned personally is the importance of preventive health care. And we have seen that there are many diseases that come up which nature will present one after the other. Nature has many aces up her sleeve, and it will be very difficult for us to find the cures for them. And even though we may find some cure after a lot of research and a lot of expenditure of money and so on and so forth, we're still not sure whether they will work. We don't know what kind of side effects that will happen. Even today, I know many people from around the world who are suffering all kinds of health problems which are considered by the doctors to be side effects of vaccines, side effect of getting the COVID disease itself. So we don't know exactly what's going to happen as a result of our lines of treatment. So ultimately, everybody was trying to prevent getting the COVID themselves. So preventive healthcare, in my opinion, has become a very, very important aspect of health. And health is wealth, ultimately. Who doesn't want to be healthy? You may have all the money in the world, but if you don't have good health, then money becomes meaningless for you. Today's medical profession, or the medical philosophy, shall we say, is mostly focused on curing as opposed to preventive health care. Not that there is a complete absence of that, but it's very minimal. Some 1 or 2 years ago during the COVID pandemic, I saw a video of a famous doctor in America who said very clearly that the business of the medical profession is not to prevent disease. It is to cure disease. So I was very taken aback by that statement. I think that the duty of the medical profession should be not only to cure, but also to prevent disease. And that is our traditional Indian approach. In Ayurveda, for example, the important aspect of cure is swasthasya swasthya lakshanam, which means to keep a healthy person healthy. First is to cure a sick person, but the second is to keep a healthy person healthy. That is called preventive health care. And that should be a very important focal point of the medical profession. When you step out into the world as doctors, do keep this in mind. It is important for you to educate the patients and people around you about what they can do and what they should not do for good health. So that's the first difference between the modern approach to medicine, especially now in the recent times, not so earlier, with respect to our traditional approaches to medical care. The second aspect that I see a difference between the traditional approach to medicine and the modern approach is that traditionally there was a lot of emphasis on caring. on serving, seva. Many people, young people, would get very inspired and fired by the idea of wanting to serve humanity, and therefore they would become doctors. So this was, till many decades ago, a very, very driving force for young people to choose the medical profession. But gradually with time, as the society has become more materialistic, nowadays the role of money has become more and more dominant. So now everywhere, money plays such an important role, more than is justified. Not that money is not important. Money certainly is important. It has a role to play. But when we give too much importance to money, when money becomes the driving force of our life, to the exclusion of certain values and principles in our life, to the exclusion of the quality of our life and our mind, then there is a problem. So we see that today, now the principle of money is honey is very strong. Everybody wants money at any cost. So much greed in everything. Now we are all aware of the problems of corruption in our country, isn't it? How many of you are very unhappy with the state of corruption? Raise your hand. Why does corruption exist?
Greed.
Greed. And why does greed exist?
The want for money.
You want more and more money? Why?
Comparison.
Comparison. Why?
Happiness.
Happiness, because you think you're going to be happy. But are you really going to be happy like that? These are points that I will be discussing as we go on in this discussion. So the point is that now we are more about curing for money. Not that even the materialistic doctors don't want to cure, but they want a lot of money, huge amount of money. And this greed can drive people to do all sorts of things. Just a day or two ago, I read in the newspaper in Jharkhand or Bihar or somewhere, one lady, she had gone to the doctor for some problem connected with the uterus. And the surgeon performed the surgery, but unknown to her, to that lady, patient, he also removed her kidney. Because there was some business going on of stealing kidneys. And this lady didn't know about it till she started having medical problems. And eventually it was detected that she didn't have a kidney. And so then it was found out what happened. Now that doctor is on the run. He is in hiding. So the newspaper headline was that this lady is demanding that she wants the kidney of that doctor. Quite justified, I think. But of course, the law will not allow it, but that is the situation. So when money becomes the sole driving force of people, then all the ethics of management are lost, of medical care are lost. Yes? In fact, the whole spirit of sacrificing, of serving, they're pushed into the background. And then we only want to see how we can earn more and more money. Because we think money is what will give us happiness. We think money is what will give us prestige. Money is the criterion for success in life. So because of these ideas, we dispense with our principles. We dispense with our final human sentiment of kindness, of caring for others, of serving others, of being touched at the suffering of others, which is supposed to be actually the driving force for the medical profession, and indeed for everybody else. Of course, it is not the medical profession alone that is tainted by this kind of greed. It is there all over the society. So unfortunately today, this has become very prominent. The caring element has kind of taken a back seat. It is not that there are no doctors who have this caring mood. There are many, many doctors who are very ethical, who have that caring and serving spirit. But it is also an unfortunate truth that equally there are many, many doctors who are not like that. Now you have a choice as you step out into the world. Which kind of doctor do you want to be? Which category do you want to be in? If you take away the caring element from the curing, then something very vital is lost from your profession. The soul of your profession is lost. You may earn money, you may get a good name in the society, but you have lost your soul as a doctor, as a professional. And certainly, curing also is caring. But that caring attitude, that spirit, is very, very important. So, what is medicine? By medicine, I mean, as I said, the whole field. It is a science of keeping the body healthy. And it includes prevention of disease, diagnosis and treatment, and all other related aspects. So, generally, in the modern day, prevention of disease, as I mentioned, is not much focused. And all related aspects, the third part, like for example, how do you make your medicines? Traditionally, the Vaidyas, the doctors, would actually prepare the medicines in their own clinic. They would grow the herbs and they would themselves prepare the medicine custom made for every patient to get. So it was fresh, but the moment you have mass production and big companies, then there is adulteration, then there are so many other problems arise. And anyway, as doctors, you get more and more focused only on your particular specialization. You don't know how the medicines are manufactured, how so many other things are done. So, in modern medicine, the focus is only on the middle one, diagnosis and treatment, but not on the other two. So, it is very important that we revive knowledge of the other two also in the medical profession. Incidentally, one thing that I feel surprised by as a non-medical person is that there is hardly any discussion on food and diet in the entire MBBS course, except for something short on proteins, vitamins, carbohydrates, the basic things that are there. Am I right? All of you who are medical professionals, professors, how much is there in food and diet in the MBBS profession, in the syllabus? Very less. Very little. Whereas food is something so important for health. It is said that food is medicine, if you know it right. And if you don't know your food, medicine will do you no good. Because you may keep on taking medicine, but if your food is wrong, your diet is wrong, then you will never be healthy. So these are aspects that somehow need to be included in the awareness of doctors. So even if it is not in your syllabus, it's something that will be nice for you to study on your own. Now, another area of difference between the traditional modern medical approach and the modern approach is that modern medical science deals only with the physical body. That is because of the approach of modern science, that life is basically just a bundle of chemicals. And that life happens in this body as a result of certain electrochemical processes that happen. For example, the firing of neurons in the brain or in the nervous system. Now, certain C neuron fires, and that is what we call pain. So everything is reduced to only the functioning of atoms, molecules, cells, tissues, organs. So when we deal with the body, the human being, only as a physical body, and we do not have any concept of anything beyond the body, that means that the medical science is limited. It is doing wonderful work, undoubtedly. It is very vital for the existence of human society. Nevertheless, it is also a fact that medical science does not go beyond the physical body. They don't understand what is the subtle mind. Even psychiatrists and modern psychology deal with the mind as a part of the brain, not as something superior to that, not as something distinct from that. What then to speak of something like the soul, which is completely spiritual? Now, human needs are very diverse. We have physical needs, emotional needs, intellectual needs, spiritual needs. And medical science, as vital as it may be for the well-being of human society, addresses only the physical part of our problems. But what about the emotional part, the spiritual part, the intellectual part? When those parts are not addressed, how can we be happy? Hence, for human happiness, we have to have other disciplines, of which spirituality is most important. How many of you read the newspapers? Very few. So what is in the headlines these days? For the last 3-4 days, there's only one item in the headlines. Huh? What's in the headlines? Something happened in Delhi. There was a murder. Yes? There was a murder, and okay, it's fine. So, this young man, he killed this lady, and then he cut her body up into parts, and then he threw those parts in different areas of Delhi. So it's all over the newspapers for the last 3 or 4 days, maybe more. So this kind of problem, maybe not the killing, but the idea that relationships in this world are going sour. People are not able to get along with each other. That spirit of love and trust and cooperation, brotherhood, sisterhood, that whole concept of living together amicably, cooperatively is diminishing very rapidly. The more and more we just focus on money, enjoyment, and we give up all these traditional value systems, the more we will find these things happening. And therefore, all the more necessary for spirituality to come into the picture. The biggest mistake that the human society is making today is to think that happiness can come only from materialistic pursuits. It can come only from the things connected to this body. And that is why we have so many problems today. So therefore, the medical science, as vital and useful as it is, can address only one part of the problem, the physical needs. But what about all the other areas of life which are very important for our happiness? So as medical people who are treating the suffering of people, nobody who's happy will come to you. Everybody who comes to you will have some suffering, some misery, otherwise they wouldn't come to you. So you are in an excellent position to guide them, in an excellent position to motivate them, to lead the proper kind of life, in addition to curing whatever is the disease that comes in. So having a spiritual understanding is very important. So, let's speak about spirituality. What exactly is spirituality? Spirituality involves understanding the following. One's identity. Who am I? Now, as I said, the modern approach is that one is the body. But is that the case? In the ancient philosophers, perhaps Socrates was the only one who understood by just logical analysis that we cannot be only the body. Identity, the person we say I and me, that is different from this body. So the religious scriptures of the world, They give us an understanding that there is something beyond this body as well. So one's true identity is very important to understand that. Second is, what is true happiness? Does happiness come only from money? Does it come only from material enjoyment, from going to the best hotels, going to the best cinemas, getting the best clothes, the fashionable clothes, the latest electronic gadgets, partying late into the night? Is that really happiness? Drinking, smoking, taking drugs, is that really happiness? We have to question these things. And third, what is life's ultimate goal? Is it to just make a lot of money, be a very big person in the society? So these are things that we have to think about. And these are the topics that spirituality deals with. So now let's contrast it with materialism. So, materialism is the idea, I'll come to this first, being overly concerned with the physical body and its comforts and enjoyment. And in believing that enjoyment, money and possessions are the most important things in life. Does this sound familiar? Do many people have this kind of philosophy of life? How many people do you think have it? A large percentage of the society or only a small percentage? Large percentage of the society has this. So this is materialism. We are not talking of which country, we are not talking of which community, caste, creed, religion, no. Across the board, this is a philosophy of life that has become very dominant all over the world. And so what they think is that taking care of the body and the things connected to the body is what gives happiness. Do you understand the significance of this picture here? What does it mean? Yes.
That the lady is polishing the outer cage, and it's made of gold and whatever, but she's not paying attention to the parrot that's inside. Which is the main thing that she should have been taking care of.
Excellent, excellent, very nice. So here you see this lady, she has a parrot, a pet parrot in a cage. In any case, first of all, I'm not, shall we say, advocating that we should keep birds in cages. I think it's cruel, we should not do it, but we're just giving an example. So she has a pet parrot, she keeps in a cage. The cage is made of pure gold. So every day she polishes that gold cage and keeps it very shiny and beautiful. But she's so obsessed with the cage that she forgets to look after the bird. She forgets to feed the bird with food, to give it water, and so on. So what happens? In a short while, the parrot is sick and almost dying, where the cage looks shiny. So that is what materialism does to us as individuals and also us as a whole society. As a society, we have a lot of glitter and glamour, chamak dhamak, high-fi life with the 5-star hotels, the partying late into the night, and fancy clothes, electronic gadgets, movies, Bollywood, Hollywood, razzle-dazzle, glitter, glamour culture. But internally, we are hollow, we are miserable. So we are like this old lady who only polishes the cage but is not looking inside for one's spiritual self, one's spiritual dimension of life. This is the problem with the materialistic society. On the other hand, what about spirituality? Let us start by discussing what spirituality is not, first of all. Spirituality doesn't mean that you have to neglect the body. But rather, spirituality emphasizes that we have a higher spiritual nature. We are not merely the physical body. And we have a higher spiritual nature regardless of what nationality you are. Regardless of what your community, caste, religion, creed, etc. is, we as human beings are all spiritual in nature. And unless we recognize that and try to realize it, we can never attain happiness. So the process of doing that is spirituality. So spirituality will help us think and act beyond materialism, beyond enjoyment, money and possessions. And ultimately it gives us the real purpose and happiness and meaning in life. So therefore there is a great need for spirituality. Now, we have to balance spirituality with the concerns of the world, because you have to earn your livelihood. You have to have a certain decent standard of living. You have to be able to pay your bills. You have to have good health. So you have to have so many of these things. Fine, which is all right. But if you get carried away with these things and neglect the spiritual aspect of your existence, then it is to your own peril individually and also as a society. So all the social problems that we are seeing today is largely because of this. We have stopped feeding the parrot. We're only bothered about the golden cage. Now, the immediate question comes when I say spirituality, what is the relationship between spirituality and religion? So to be spiritual, do you have to be religious? Some people in the modern day world, they say, well, I'm spiritual but not religious. There are others who say, I'm religious but not spiritual. So what is the meaning of spirituality in connection with religion? So I have given a concise definition here. Each of these topics is a topic in itself for a long discussion. So the answer in brief is that spirituality is the finest essence and perfection of religion. It represents the core principles of religion. It gives a higher purpose to religion. Now remember, I'm not talking of being a Hindu or a Muslim or a Christian or a Sikh or Jain or anything of the sort. I'm speaking in very general terms. Every religion has a spiritual core that rises beyond this world. Every religion tells us that there is something beyond this world which you must try to aspire for. Whilst you have every right and it is your duty to look after yourself in this world, to fulfill your responsibilities in this world, but you should not forget the higher spiritual goal. Now, unfortunately, what happens is that religion has become very materialistic. All religions. And they have forgotten that inner spiritual essence. So therefore there is so much fighting, so much hatred, so much killing. And on a lighter note, people look at, actually it's a serious note, people look at religion as a vehicle for fulfilling their materialistic ambitions. So whether it is a temple or a church or a mosque or a gurudwara or anything else, many times people go with a shopping list. God, please give me this. God, give me that. Give me this. There is this instance I know of one businessman who went to Tirupati. You have all heard of Tirupati, very famous place of worship. And he struck a deal with God there. He said, I'm coming here to worship because I have this big, huge contract which I have applied for. And if this business deal clicks, then I will give you 50% of what I get. So please give me your blessings so that this business deal can be successful. And he came away from that. Many people go like this to different places of worship because they go there thinking God is an instrument to bring them what they need in terms of money and so on and so forth. Now some time went by and the business deal happened, but he got only 50% of what he expected to get from that business deal. So he didn't go back to the temple to fulfill his share. What was the agreement he had? The deal he struck. It was a one-sided deal, by the way. That I'll give you 50%. So he didn't go to Tirupati for many months. Then one day God appeared to him in a dream. He said, what happened? You struck a deal with me and now you're disappeared. The business deal happened, you got some money, then what happened? I haven't seen you after that. So the man replied, he already took 50% away in the beginning. Because I got only 50% of the amount I was expecting. So in this way, people try to cheat God also. First of all, they approach God for some materialistic purpose. And then whether they get it or not, then they try to somehow find some way out. So this is not spirituality. This is a materialistic approach to religion. So when one thinks like this, then there can be no happiness. So if one goes and thinks that please help me to be victorious, please help me to be successful in business, please help me for this or that particular purpose, then we are actually not understanding what spirituality means. So true religion or spirituality is not meant for fulfilling materialistic goals. Do not consider religion as a vehicle for materialism. It is meant for rising beyond all this, to transcend it. So, in practical terms, spirituality means understanding spiritual knowledge, number one. Number two, performing spiritual practices like chanting the names of God, worship, etc. And finally, not just keeping it at a theoretical level or just, superficially doing some practices, but actually they must translate into a transformation of character. It must manifest in your changed behavior and attitudes. For one who is genuinely practicing spirituality, qualities like kindness, humility, forgiveness, freedom from greed, anger, and other bad habits will automatically come. Now, inasmuch as doctors are also human beings, but they are very importantly placed because they deal with the sufferings of others, and people come to them when they are very vulnerable. So all the more it is important that doctors should have these qualities. Otherwise, incidents like the one I related earlier about the stealing of the kidney, that will happen. So many unethical practices unfortunately happen in the medical world today. Why is it happening? Who is it that suffers? The ordinary patient who may not be very wealthy is the one who suffers. So we are getting our money at the expense of poor people. We are getting our money by exploiting others. So we cannot be a successful medical practitioner if we have that kind of an approach. So what is the connection between medicine and spirituality? Let's look a little deeper at what our ancient Indian knowledge teaches us about this. Now, these are the 4 factors for successful treatment according to Charak. Charak is an ancient Indian doctor. In Ayurveda, they learn from his books, Bhakti Rasamrita, etc. He has said that the doctor, the medicine, the medical attendants, and the patient. These are 4 factors that are necessary for successful treatment. Of course, the first 3 exist for the sake of the 4th. If there is no patient, what will the other 3 do? But nevertheless, Charak says that amongst all these 4, the doctor is actually the most important. Because without a good doctor, even if there are good medicines, even if there are good attendants, even if the patient is submissive, it will not be auspicious. So what are the qualities of a good doctor? According to our traditional knowledge systems, essentially one can classify it into 4 categories. Number 1, a good doctor must have a detailed knowledge of diseases and treatment. Number two, the doctor must have extensive practical experience. Of course, that is not possible in the beginning, but in years it comes. Third, there must be practical skill. You must know practically how to do things, how to do first aid, how to do the surgery, whatever it is that is required to be done. Now, finally, something very important, which is not emphasized in modern medical fields. Purity of body and mind. Not just purity of body, also purity of the mind. This calls for the doctor to be spiritual. Because without being spiritual, it is very hard to be pure in your mind. Even being pure in the body is hard enough. I know of certain situations where some medical professionals have come drunk to their place of work, and it has caused some problems. And there are various issues of that sort. I won't go into detail now, but if you look at the old medical works of India, which are in the Sanskrit language, the doctor is supposed to be almost like a saint. And in those days, the doctors were actually sages, they were rishis. Because their life was completely dedicated to the patient. They had no other business in life. They were totally selfless. Now, it may be rather impractical to expect our doctors to be totally selfless in that regard. But we must keep the spirit of that very much. And when the doctor himself or herself becomes spiritually minded, then this purity of body and mind will come. And then the other three will actually become perfect. Some other important qualities of a doctor. One must be courageous. One must be intelligent to manage critical situations. One must be endowed with moral virtues. Very important. See, many times people think if someone is a good doctor in terms of the medical knowledge and skill, that is sufficient. But according to our traditional wisdom, that is not enough. It is necessary but not sufficient. The doctor's moral character is very important. So if a doctor is spiritually inclined and along with that has all these other qualities of medical skills, that is a perfect doctor. The doctor must be endowed with good speech, must be truthful, must be humble, must be friendly to patients, etc. Yes, being humble is very important. It is very easy for one's ego to rise, very easy for one to become proud and arrogant when one is successful in one's practice and is earning a lot of money. It is very tempting to believe your patients when they say you are God because you have treated them. But the doctor must also understand that there are forces beyond him or her that may be responsible for curing or not curing the patient. Now, even though you have just entered the medical profession or the studies, are you aware of instances, maybe from your personal life or your relatives or friends, where the doctors did their best, but they said ultimately now it's in the hands of God. Now you please pray. We have done what we could. How many of you have experienced or heard of others who went through this experience? So many of you. So what does it prove?
There is a higher
That we are not God. We are not God. The doctor acts as an instrument of God. Therefore, in Sanskrit there is a saying, Vaidyo Narayana, which means that the Vaidya is a representative, or as good is a representative of God. He is representing God. So in this way, the doctor has to realize that I am just a humble instrument in the hands of God. Medical science has given me much knowledge. With my hard work and application of mind, I have acquired some skills. But ultimately, for all these to be successful, it needs the will of God. So therefore, being humble and understanding the spiritual knowledge is very important for doctors. So therefore, the role of the doctor is much more than just mere treatment of diseases. The doctor must also help an individual reach the ultimate spiritual goal of self-realization, which is not possible without healthy body and mind. So good health is important, but important for what? Nowadays, yoga has become very popular all over the world. And it is all right to do yoga for health purposes. Because ultimately, we all want to be healthy. But the question is, health for what? What do you want to be healthy for? What is the goal of your being healthy? If the goal of your being healthy is only so that you can enjoy this world more, then that is not the true purpose of yoga. That is not the true purpose of health even. Because for the purpose of ultimately attaining spiritual perfection, we need a good body and mind. Our body and mind have to be stable. They have to be such that we are not disturbed by them. To that degree, and in order to conduct our daily activities with some degree of stability, we need good health. So the doctor should also be such and be sensitive to the ultimate goal of life. So therefore, according to our traditional wisdom, the doctors must be well versed with philosophical topics. The doctors must himself or herself try to go beyond the physical body and connect to spiritual life very deeply. See, there are two things that can happen when you encounter suffering on a daily basis. Every day from morning to night you will see suffering. Now either you will end up getting depressed and thinking, oh my God, I can't tolerate this. Or you will become insensitive. You will become desensitized to suffering, to human suffering. And you will say, oh yeah, I see this every day. So many people dying. It's just another statistic. Today 6 people died. Yesterday so many people died. So we become insensitive. We should become neither of these two. Neither should you become so depressed that you become dysfunctional. Nor should you become totally desensitized and insensitive to the suffering around you. You should retain your values of being compassionate, of being kind, of having that mood of serving and working for the welfare of people, and still keeping yourself stable and peaceful. And for that, you need spiritual practice. To have the right approach to deal with your profession and with your patient. And therefore, it is important that doctors should lead a life of integrity and simplicity without greed. Nobody is objecting to a doctor becoming wealthy. Being wealthy is not a sin. But the point is, when you do not know where to strike the balance, when you start thinking that this is all in all, and for the sake of money and prestige and enjoyment and so on, I am willing to give up my principles and values in life. I am willing to cause harm to others. I am willing to exploit others, including those who are poor. That is when we enter into a great problem area. So therefore, medical professionals must, very importantly, be sensitized to this idea. So the doctor's goal should not be the selfish purpose of only fulfilling worldly desires and gains. But largely the goal of the doctor should be to help others get relieved from suffering. So please keep that in your mind. Medicine is a noble profession meant for the welfare of the patient, and not only for making money or for glamour and prestige. I would like to add one word here, only. You can make money, you can get prestige, that is fine. That is your legitimate right, because you are sacrificing so much for the patient. You have acquired so many, you have done so much of hard work to come to the level of a qualified doctor. So certainly some degree of respect is due to you. Some degree of prestige is due to you. Some glamour may be there, and obviously some money is due to you. But that should not be the only purpose that you have. So I repeat, medicine is a noble profession meant for the welfare of the patient and not only for making money or for glamour and prestige. And ultimately, I recite the Sanskrit verse, the diacritic marks have not come out right. Sarve bhavantu sukhinah, sarve santu niramayaha, sarve bhadrani pashyantu, ma paschyat dukkha bhave. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. How many of you have heard of this? Many must have heard. Very popular, very famous. Can anyone tell the meaning of this? Anyone? Yes.
That may everyone receive happiness, may everyone.
Sarve bhavantu sukhinah. Sukh. Let everyone be happy. Next. Sarve santu niramayaha. Niramaya means free from illness, free from disease. May everybody be free from disease. Next, Sarve bhadrani pashyantu. Let everybody see only that which is bhadra, which is auspicious. Finally, ma kaschit dukkha bhave. Let not anybody become a participant, bhavidar, in misery, in dukkha. Let misery not touch anybody. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Peace, let there be peace prevailing everywhere. Does it say here that only people of my community should be happy, only people of my community should be free from illness? People from my country, does it say? No, sarve means everybody. That means the doctor does not distinguish caste, creed, religion, or nationality, or economic status, social status, nothing. The doctor's life is meant as a life of sacrifice for the well-being of everybody in the world. Okay, so I'll stop here. Thank you very much. And I had to rush through a little bit here to save time for questions. So, if you have any questions, please raise your hands. Or do we have some slips that are coming around? Meanwhile, any of you who have questions, you raise your hand and you can ask from that place. Feel free to ask any question. Yes? Sorry?
Is being angry a bad habit?
Is being angry a bad habit? You said? If it's a habit, yes. Yes? So, we are all human beings, so sometimes we will become angry. But if becoming angry becomes a habit, then that is not good. And also remember that you may get angry, but don't stay angry. Come back to normal very soon. Okay? Any other questions? Please raise your hands. There are some forms being circulated, so you can just fill in those forms. You can ask your questions by writing it there, or you can even ask it now by raising your hand. And from your seat, you can ask.
Students, if you have any questions, you can write it in this piece of paper and then hand it over back to us. Anybody has questions?
Yes. So I'll collect the questions and I'll answer them once all of you have finished writing. Answer the questions that have been asked. First question: how to feel sensitive if you are insensitive? Well, everybody has nature. Some people are by nature sensitive, some people are by nature insensitive. We call them thick-skinned. So, one way to become sensitive is to also associate with people who are somewhat sensitive, and also to think about the need for being sensitive. If we are going to be insensitive towards others, then others will also be insensitive towards us. So will we like it? If somebody is insensitive towards us? No. So just by using our intelligence, we can understand how we have to train our mind and intelligence to do the right thing. Next, what to do when we are feeling stressed while doing this course? What to think at that point of time? Certainly stress will come at various points, not only when you're doing your MBBS, but also afterwards in life. Now, stress will come and stress will go. But I think you already had a session, I think already happened, right, on stress management. So that since an entire lecture has already been devoted to that, I will not say much about it, except to say, because it is connected to the topic for today, that if you lead a very spiritual lifestyle, you will notice that your capacity to handle stress will increase very, very significantly. You will be able to be calm even in the midst of stress. The same things that cause somebody else to become very agitated will not agitate you so much. Or what would agitate you earlier would not agitate you now. So adopting a spiritual lifestyle, a sattvic lifestyle, is what will help. Next, how to stop or have control over overthinking, depression, and other common issues caused by stress during our course. These two are connected to lifestyle and attitudes. Many times, stress is increased because of our unwholesome lifestyles. You know, when you sleep very late in the night, then that also causes a lot of problems in the body. And you'll see all that happening in terms of your medical studies. Because the body is not meant to be nocturnal. We are meant to be sleeping at night and awake in the daytime. So when you're awake till 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the night, and then you go to sleep, then you wake up at 10 o'clock or 11 o'clock, so your body will go topsy-turvy, you will get acidity, hyperacidity, all sorts of things will happen because of that. So when such physical disturbances happen in your system, it will also have an impact on your mind. It will also cause stress. And because the human body and mind are not meant to live like this, eating your dinner at 12 o'clock at night, 1 o'clock at night, there is not the time to eat. So proper lifestyle means that you do the right thing at the right time, in the right way. If you do that, even in terms of lifestyle, your stress levels will automatically come down. Or let's put it this way, if you don't lead the right lifestyle, it will aggravate your stress situation. Number one. So, adjusting your lifestyle and attitudes. Number two, I repeat the same point I said earlier. Lead a spiritual life. Do some spiritual practices. And you will see that your stress level, your capacity to cope will be significantly influenced positively. So you will not succumb to depression, overthinking. Be careful of overthinking. Have you heard of the analysis paralysis syndrome? You analyze, and then get paralyzed. Yes? Too much thinking. And one of the things I can really emphasize to you, because I have also been a student at one time, and I may have done this also on many occasions and I have seen fellow students doing it. Try to avoid late nights. This is my one advice to all of you. If you want to be healthy throughout your life, occasionally there may be things that happen, okay, but not as a regular practice. One time I remember I went to one college and I asked them what time they wake up. So not one of them gave the answer that they wake up before 7 in the morning. And somebody said 7, somebody said 8, somebody 9, somebody said 12 o'clock in the afternoon. And in another place, because we start our activities very early in the morning. So I was going to our place in another city. And there were a group of young people standing there. So I was quite impressed. I told my escort that I'm happy to see these young people at 4 o'clock in the morning. So glad to see that they wake up so early. He said, no, they just finished. Now they're going to sleep. They were in the party dancing all night. Now they will go to sleep. So this kind of lifestyle, don't expect to be healthy physically or mentally. I have found one thing. The young generation today has a far, far lower standard of health than the previous generations. They fall sick very easily. They don't have the mental strength to take stress. They collapse very easily. They get stressed very easily. They get depressed very easily. They get all sorts of mental health problems very easily. They get into relationship problems very easily. And it's all because of unwholesome, inappropriate lifestyles and mentalities. And because of trying to be too much in the materialistic mode, being too attracted by the chamak, dhamak, the glitter, glamour, dazzle of this world. So don't be too much influenced by that. If you do this one thing, Just this one thing, I assure you, it will make a significant difference in your life. What is that one thing? Sleep early, but wake up early also. Imagine you sleep early and wake up still at 12 in the afternoon. Sleep early, wake up early. And you see how much difference it will make to you. How many of you have never seen a sunrise in your life? That's okay, happy to see that. Because sorry?
Natural sunrise.
Natural sunrise, yes. So doctor is telling us natural sunrise. So we should rise early enough. Okay? Alright, next question. For good health, proper and clean diet is very important, as you said. When I was at home, I used to follow sattvic lifestyle, but I am finding it difficult to continue the sattvic lifestyle in the hostel. Is there any alternate method to keep myself healthy? My only motive to stay healthy is to reach my fullest potential in life. Can you suggest something? Well, I'm happy that you are following a sattvic lifestyle in your home, and I also do appreciate the difficulty you are facing in following this same lifestyle here in the hostel. It happens to everybody. Because here, the whole atmosphere, the culture, by here I mean in any hostel, in any college, anywhere. Because fellow students around you will sleep late, there will be a huge ruckus going on, people will be speaking loudly, playing some music, running here and there. So many things will be going on at that time. And you want to go to bed early, and you're not able to because there is so much noise around you. You can't get the right kind of food that you wanted. So, unfortunately, that is how the things are. So you have to make the best use of a bad bargain. Do the best you can. At least in your mess, if you can have an arrangement where there is some kind of food that is, let us say, a little sattvic, and if they can keep aside a little sattvic food for you so that you don't have to have all kinds of unhealthy foods, that will be very helpful. Avoid going out, eating late nights, eating things from here and there which are not good for health. So to the extent that is possible in your given situation, do the best you can. There is a saying in Hindi, "Jahan hai chaah, wahan hai raah." Where there is a will, there is a way. So find out the best you can do in your situation to lead a relatively sattvic and stable life. And avoid getting into bad habits that you may see somebody around you getting into. It is very natural, it happens all the time, because people get into these bad habits. They see others smoking, they see others drinking, they see others going late night for movies or going to the party, coming back at 3 in the morning. So everybody gets pulled into that. So be careful not to get pulled into all these things. Remember, your life is more important. Have your stability of consciousness of thought to understand what is good for you and what is not. And have the courage of conviction and to resist all these forces when they pull you to activities that are not going to be good for you. That itself will help you a lot to stay in your sattvic life. Okay, so once again, thank you all very much. You have been a very wonderful audience. And I'll tell you one more secret. I did not notice anybody sleeping in the class. I think the credit goes to you. So that's why I said at the beginning that you are a very sattvic class. So congratulations to all of you. And do continue this spirit, and when your medical classes start, also don't sleep in the class. If you sleep well at night early, then you will be alert in your classes. And thank you to the management, faculty and staff of JNMC also for facilitating this talk here. Thank you very much.